Welcome to Transition Evening 2024. Thank you for taking the time to join us and to watch this video. It's very much appreciated. We hope it's useful. We've tried to put together just the information we know is really important to Year 8 parents over the next year based on our experience and our conversations with parents in recent years. Just a quick plug for our email address at the very beginning. If you have any questions, please send us an email on parentforum@rodingvalley.net. We will get back to each and every query. If we see that there is a theme emerging, we will write to parents or we'll put something in the bulletin just to address any misconceptions or any uncertainties that there may be. As I say, thank you for giving up your time this evening. I'm Mr. Charlton, head teacher at Roding Valley. I spoke to many of you last year at parents' evenings or during the information evening or at different points. It's fantastic to have you join us and listen in to this information evening. You're going to hear from a variety of different people. We'll try and keep it succinct and to the point. But hopefully the information you get is really useful and will lead to conversations with teachers, with heads of year, but also your children as well, which we know is really valuable as they move into this second year of high school. It barely feels like a year ago that I was also on the end of a computer screen talking to you about the first few days at Roding Valley High School. So we're now into the second year of this 7-year pathway at Roding. We talk about a 7-year journey because we have the aspiration for all of our students that they stay with us after GCSEs and on into their sixth form, whether that is A-levels, whether that is BTECs. We really do encourage our students to aim high. And this year was no different in our sixth form. We achieved some exceptional results. We're really, really delighted for all of those students. I'm sure there are some siblings in year 8 as well, but the students did really well. They must be very, very proud of themselves. We had a number of students, 4, in fact, who went off to Oxbridge this year, which is wonderful. But we also had a number of students who took part in degree apprenticeships, who've gone off into employment, and we're so proud in each and every one of them. And for us, the choice at the end of year 13 is entirely down to the student. We will give them support, information, advice and guidance, but no matter what their next step is, we are very supportive and we're very proud of them. And I think the thing we're most proud of this year actually is that the vast majority of our students went off and did what they intended to do, and for us that is a sign that students been successful at school. So we're really happy for them and their achievements over the past year. I just wanted to spend a moment or two just reiterating really our vision, our values, our mission statement, if you like. We are now an oversubscribed school, and that's a really privileged position to be in. We have a number of applications every year, well over the limit that we have, and that's great, but it means we can't rest on our laurels still. We still really do engender those values of aspiration, respect and endeavour in all of our interactions with between students and teachers, and the other way around, also with students and their parents, and also between teachers and parents as well. We know that these values are really important and they underpin everything we do in the Roding community. And we are working really closely with the local community as well, and we intend to continue that over the years as well to build really strong relationships with our local community. And we've been supported greatly by them in the past year. You will be more than aware as parents that we had to deal with the issue of RAAC at the beginning of last year. And whilst we now have and I'm delighted to say, we now have our kitchen on site, which means a return to hot food, we really couldn't have done that without the support of our local community, our partners, without the support of our trust, but also yourselves as parents and carers. All of the information, support and the offers of help that you gave really were appreciated by everyone in the community. So I'm now going to hand over to the next person who's going to talk to you a little bit more about what to expect in year 8. You'll also hear from Miss Hegarty, head of year. You'll hear from Miss Larkin. You'll also hear from Mr. Smith as well around pastoral matters. So thank you once again for joining this evening, and I hope you find the information useful.
Right, hello everyone. My name's Sam Smith, Deputy Head. I'm in charge of culture and ethos in the school. And I think the first thing I was going to start by saying is that we are very, very proud of the Roding community. We very much feel as if we are a community school in a number of ways. First of all, I think we've got a really strong community at the school, talking about the learners and the adults in the building. But secondly, we really feel as if we sit at the heart of the Loughton community and the local community, and that's also extremely important to us as a school. And community is very important, because a strong community will mean that pupils will be more successful. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And of course, communities need care. And that's where really my job is important, because communities need strong rules so that people know what they can and cannot do. And what we think is really important is that there are strong and dependable routines for things, so that there are no surprises, so that when children walk into lessons, they know what to expect. When they're lining up for assembly, they absolutely know what to expect. And these routines help us not really need the rules themselves, because everybody knows exactly what's expected of them. But of course, in all communities, things do occasionally go wrong. And when things go wrong in this community, we aim to fix them. So when people fall out from time to time, we aim to fix those relationships. When things go wrong between teachers and pupils, when there's a misunderstanding, then we aim to fix those relationships. And it's relationships at this school which we feel are so important. And at the centre of all of that is the pupil. And around that sits an extraordinary number of people who are there to support that pupil, from the form tutor, who is the first port of call for any issues that the pupil has, and of course from any issues that families want to raise. That's the form tutor should always be the first port of call. Then there is the head of year. There is a large extended leadership team and senior leadership team in the school who are here to support pupils. Obviously, their teachers are here to support, and those relationships are absolutely fundamental to the success of pupils. We have a pupil support team who work with pupils to help them to always make the right choices and to help restore things when they've gone wrong. And obviously, the learning support department will be working with a number of pupils to help them to access the curriculum and be as successful as they can. But even more than that, there is the safeguarding team who are there to make sure that children feel okay, that where we've got concerns, they are addressed. The attendance team works to ensure that pupils are here as much as they possibly can. We have pupil voice, which enables pupils to talk about what they think about the school and suggest improvements. There are all of the support staff working in the school, from reception team to teaching assistants that are here. At sixth form mentors, which is a program that starts shortly, where pupils will be supported by sixth form students. And that's a weekly mentoring system. And there are prefects further up the school that are there to support pupils when they need it. So there's an enormous amount of support, but these are all relationships, and all of these relationships need care and need restoring. They need to be established in the first place, to be maintained as we go along, and to be restored if and when things go wrong. As for the rules, because it's right to talk about what the rules are. The rules are important. Strong communities need strong rules. Behaviour policies can get very complicated, and there can seem like there are really a lot of rules. Most of that is detail. There really are only 3 rules in this community, and they are very straightforward. But if pupils, and I've been saying this to pupils all week, if a pupil were to follow these 3 rules, they would really not be going very far wrong. Clearly, they're here to learn. Each individual pupil is responsible for their own learning. And obviously, if they're behaving in a way that stops them from learning, they're going to be breaking some rules. Similarly, if pupil behaviour stops other people from learning, that's going to be a problem. So, we are here to allow to learn as much as possible, but also to allow other people and to help other people to learn as much as possible. And finally, to show kindness and respect for yourself and the school. And those are the 3 rules, and everything else follows from those 3 rules. But if you only keep those 3 rules in your head, you won't go far wrong. Clearly, Everything else comes from that. So, you know, why do we expect pupils to be in school 100% of the time? So they can learn as much as possible. Similarly with punctuality. Uniform is about respect for yourself and for the school. It's also to help us kind of maintain a sense of equality across the school, which we wouldn't have if pupils were in their own clothes. Lesson behaviour, clearly, good lesson behaviour enables good learning to happen. Playground behaviour will affect learning in class. It's also about kindness and respect, and so on and so forth. And all of these things really come from those three main rules. To talk about attendance briefly, attendance percentages are strange things, because in any other activity, if you got 96% on a test, for example, you would rightly feel as if you had done extremely well. 96% attendance, though, isn't satisfactory. So a pupil with 99% attendance across a school year will still have had 2 days off. And in those 2 days, they will have missed 12 lessons, they will have missed 12 hours of learning, and they may have missed really crucial things, particularly in those exam years where anything that you miss is going to make a difference. 95% attendance, which, you know, again, arguably you might think is good, that will be nearly 10 days off in a school year. And really crucially, a pupil with 90% attendance, below which they will be considered persistently absent. If you have 90% attendance, it means that when you take into consideration weekends and holidays, plus the time you've taken off, you will, in a school year, spend more time at home than you will at school. And obviously, that is going to affect your ability to learn. And there is a very clear correlation between absence and underachievement and lack of progress. It's similar for punctuality. If a child was 2 minutes late for each lesson in an academic year, they will have missed 39 lessons, 39 full lessons, 39 hours of learning, which is over a week of school. So minutes add up, and these things really are very, very important. You know, in addition, 2 minutes late into the lesson, you're going to be disturbing the learning for other people as you walk in. So we do expect 100% punctuality to school and to all lessons. Pupils have 5 minutes transition time between lessons, but if pupils are marked late, there will be a 20-minute late detention after school. And punctuality to school is very, very important. Pupils arriving late through the late gate will receive a 20-minute detention at lunchtime every day. As I said, good communities need strong rules and strong routines. That's everything that I wanted to talk about this afternoon. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Hello parents and students, I'm Mr. Mia, I'm Assistant Head Teacher for Teaching and Learning. I will talk about some of the things that our teachers are focusing on, but also some of the things that our students can do to make this year really successful for them. So our teachers are teaching against the ACE framework, which is how we make sure our lessons are excellent lessons, taught to the top, and challenging students, keeping them engaged, keeping them creative, assessing them as we go through, and adapting the lesson for their needs. We are specifically focusing on adaptive teaching, in particular looking at Teaching to the Top, that stretching us to pupils. We have a very able cohort, and making sure we push them all the way to the top, the very top of what they can reach, and scaffolding and supporting them up to get to that point. Some of what goes on in the classroom includes the following. So, for example, our students are often given a teaching and learning ambassador, and when they have one of these lanyards, they are able to take pride and ownership in their learning. They are an ambassador, so whenever someone walks into the classroom, they get to stand up and talk about what they're doing and what that means and the skill sets that they're gaining. We also encourage students to bring in green pens to every single lesson, because we use this as a way for students to assess their own work, to reflect on their own work, and to make improvements to their work. So it's really important they have green pens with them along with all the other equipment. Every lesson starts with a do it now, and it hooks our students. We know it's really important to start the lesson promptly, to make sure that they are calm and relaxed, that they have reduced their cognitive load, and that they also go over old work. So quick knowledge tests from the past, knowledge that they can use for that lesson. And we tend to spend about 5 minutes on that at the start of each lesson. So it's a really good way to get students settled. It's important that they get to lessons on time so they can partake in this. I'm also going to talk about briefly RAG, close the gaps rather, which are really important tools and a strategy that we use to fix or close gaps that students might have throughout their learning journey. So for instance, after assessments, students would receive a yellow sheet, and you can see these very easily because they highlight, they sort of stand out in the book. The yellow sheets received from the teacher, where the teacher has identified strengths, but also gaps in knowledge and skills that the students can then work on to improve and to close those gaps. They also provide work for how to close those gaps, and that's signposted by the teachers. But it's a really quick way to flick through the book and find where those gaps are, just to make sure that that's where, when we do revision or when we go over old things, we're spending our time and energy looking at the close the gap areas. We teach a ton of revision strategies, tried and tested revision strategies that actually work, and we teach a few lower down the school, but these same strategies, such as Mind Maps, Flip and Fold, knowledge organizers, Cornell notes, etc. All of these we will continue to use right the way through GCSE and A-level. So they're really powerful revision strategies that we know actually work. It's possible to have a look at our curriculum. So on the school website, if you click on the curriculum, you can look at all the skills maps for all of our subjects to see what students are going to be learning each year, but also how that links and builds over the years all the way right up to year 13. So what can we do at home to help our sons and daughters at this really crucial time? Well, Google Classroom is going to be really key here. Google Classroom is what we use to centralize all of our home learning or homework. All of our homework or home learning from all of our subjects will be posted as assignments in Google Classroom. For more information on Google Classroom, there is a tab called the Home Learning tab on the school website, and there's a home learning booklet attached. So please feel free to go through that if you have any further queries. And one thing I would really recommend to students to get a bit more organized with home learning is on Google Classroom to click on the calendar view, because it shows you all the assignments due over the course of the week. And it's possible then to organize time a bit better and think about, well, I might do those 2 subjects on a Monday and those 2 subjects on a Thursday and those 2 subjects I might do on a Sunday. And that way it can be managed better rather than, trying to get all the home learning done right before a Monday morning on a Sunday night, which probably isn't the most useful and probably a bit stressful for students as well. Homework that is due within a particular day always is assigned, and it comes up as an assignment. It's called an assignment, and those are homework that has to be submitted and it has a date attached to it. Anything that is put up online that is just lesson resources for students to read over when they're at home, or if they've missed a lesson, or if they just want to go over old work, is called material, and it'll be posted as material. This is not home learning, it is just lesson resources. And I really encourage students to read through lesson resources and materials well in advance of the lessons. It just makes sure that they're a step ahead of everyone else. It's really important that students hand in their home learning by handing it in. There is a button to hand it in at the top right hand corner. And even if their homework or home learning is in written form, we still expect students to take a picture, because then it's all in one place, easy to track, and teachers are able to give feedback through home learning as well. Lots of revision resources are available on the school microsite, the revision microsite. It's something that we do always go through with students just before they do exams. We have revision workshops, which they will have this year as well, showing them all the strategies that are tried and tested, always showing them a new strategy that they may not have done before and applying it to some of their subjects so they can then take it home and continue on with the rest. I wanted to talk about two further things, which is Bedrock and REPS. So REPS is a really, Bedrock even is a really important part of our literacy initiative, because we know Bedrock is about giving students that base of vocabulary that they will use to access all their subjects. And it's a really important benefit. And it's a software that our students will be doing in school with their Chromebooks once a week. And it supports the acquisition and development of that Tier 1 and Tier 2 vocabulary that they can then use in other subjects. A really important way of accessing other subjects. And we know that students who have a wider vocabulary are just more successful in all of their exams. Other reading and writing initiatives at our school include Dear Time and Deal Time, where we drop everything and read and drop everything and write. And it's really important that students have a reading book with them, something that is age appropriate, that they find interesting, that they can do that once a week. I also wanted to talk about our brand new numeracy initiative called REPS. And so this, alongside Bedrock, we do with our Key Stage 3 cohorts. So year 7, year 8, year 9. And it stands for real life, everyday problem solving. And I really enjoy these. I really find these fun. And I know lots of students find these fun. And what they are, as you can see here, they are real life, everyday sort of problems that they can solve. And it might be, for example, that they will do this during form time once a week. It might be that they have something that talks about having to go to the airport and at 4 p.m. However, they need to check in beforehand their baggage, and they need to consider the allowance and whether they have overgone their allowance and how much they might need to pay for the excess baggage, and whether they can pay with their loyalty points, and all of these calculations, which are quite finicky. However, they're actually quite fun because they are challenging but not impossible. They are quite doable, but just requires thinking and being methodical. They're also real world problems. So we've had some examples about trying to catch a train and knowing the timetable for it, and we might need to catch a bus and a train, etc., to get to the airport on time. So various real world life problems that they can solve. It's really handy, really useful. So those two things, numeracy through the REPS and literacy through Bedrock and Dear in due times, really support our students, giving them that strong basis which allows them to access all the other subjects and be successful. Okay, and that is it. Thank you so much. I'm sure that together with your ongoing support, we can make this a really successful year for our students. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name's Tony Taylor. I'm the SENCO here at Roding Valley High School, and I'm going to be speaking to you today about SEND at the school and how we manage young people with SEND and how we provide support. So any young person with a special educational need or disability is on the school's SEND register. That contains information about the young person along with 3 bespoke individualised teaching strategies called sacrosanct strategies that are given to staff that we expect staff to use every lesson, every time. They are what staff should be using to adapt teaching to ensure that young people can access what is happening in the classroom. We know through research around SEND, through research from Ofsted, through research from the IOA, through a range of sources, that high quality teaching is the key to progress, and having young people in the classroom being taught by specialist staff has the highest level of impact and means that they make the most progress. And that's why we ensure through the SEND register that all of our staff are aware of the needs of our students and the strategies that they must use. But we do also acknowledge that there are numerous times when we may need to use further bespoke interventions around academic, around social skills, around behaviour skills, around coping mechanisms, and a wide range of things. And this is all part of the graduated approach that is in the SEND Code of Practice from the government. So what we do in this case is we use the assess, plan, do, review cycle. So we assess the need. What is it that a young person has in terms of a barrier? And then we plan the intervention along with yourself, so you know what's happening. We then do it and we review it. If we get to the end of it and the outcomes that we set at the beginning around what we want to see change has happened, then we'll end it. If it hasn't, we'll look at it again and say, well, actually, is there something that can have more impact? If something hasn't had impact, we wouldn't look to continue it because that's not doing the job that we want it to do. We'd need to find something else. And it's all around clear outcomes being set for that intervention and how we then measure the success. And a key part of all of this is working with you guys as parents and carers. This is about a chance to meet termly with a member of the learning support team to discuss any concerns that you have around SEN, around provision, around the way that your young person is able to access school and access the curriculum. The dates for the autumn term are the 24th of October for year 7, 23rd of October for year 8, and the 22nd of October for year 9. The structure that we follow is what's working well, moving on to what's not working well, and then we use that to action plan moving forward and to look at the sacrosanct strategies and any changes that we need to put in place. The cornerstone to all of this is working together with you guys to ensure that the needs of all our young people are met, but more importantly, the needs of your child are met. So one of the key areas that we look at is literacy support, and reading is a key part of what we do here at Roding Valley. And we have a very clear whole school literacy policy that includes pre-teaching of vocabulary, the teaching of what we call etymology, so the meaning of words and parts of words. We then have interventions like thinking reading, which is an evidence-based program for young people where there's a gap of more than 2 years between their chronological age and their reading age. It's a very successful program, generally delivered to year 7 and 10 at the moment, and then we work through the school from there. And we will be in contact if your child needs that kind of support. We also use the Hertz for Learning Reading Fluency program for young people who need help with fluency and comprehension, and that's all based on the data from the baseline testing that was done right at the very beginning of the year when your child came in for those testing days. At home, you have things like Readly, which is a fantastic app that has lots of magazines, newspapers, and access to all kinds of things that you can read. You have things like BorrowBox, Essex County Council libraries that have audiobooks. Audiobooks are a fantastic way of sharing literature with your children. And many of us now also have Amazon Prime accounts, and you have something called Prime Reading, where you can access books through there. And you can also access audiobooks. And through Prime Reading, you get a certain number of Audible credits per year where you can have audiobooks too. And one of the key things I get asked about is homework. And for young people, especially moving into secondary school, it can be quite difficult to have that kind of work ethic around homework and be able to manage your time around homework. So the advice we give to parents is around having set routines, have a consistent workplace, have a set time, a consistent way of doing things. So 6 o'clock every night is homework time. And if your child has difficulties with focus, has difficulties with retention, then you can use timers to enable your child to be able to manage their time and get them used to working within those clear time limits. We can try and incentivize homework. You know, if you get all your homework done tonight, then you can have an extra 10 minutes on the Xbox or the PlayStation. You can choose the film for the family film night. You can choose the Saturday night takeaway. Incentivize it and then build from there. So do all your homework today, there's a little incentive for you. Do it all week, there's an incentive for you. It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to break the bank, but just something that your child really enjoys that you can use to say, well, actually, I'm going to encourage the behaviors that I want to see. And make homework an expectation. Please feel free to contact us if you need us at any point. We'll be more than happy to speak to you. Thank you for your time this evening.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ms. Hegarty. I'm head of Year 8. It's nice to see some of you again virtually. I'm going to be running you through a few things to ensure our Year 8s have a smooth transition to their second year at Roding Valley. So we have the same expectations and vision for Year 8 than we do any other year group in the school, and these are in two strands of academic and social. So we want to provide students with the relevant skills to achieve their highest attainment and to encourage enthusiasm and a proactive interest to release that love of learning in the classroom. And then we also have a social vision for students, that we'd like them to become well-rounded citizens and to have aspirations throughout and beyond school, and for them to work hard to achieve them and to want to work hard. So just a recap of our period 1 arrangements. On Mondays, we have a longer period 1. It's called extended PD, where we do whole school personal development, which is our citizenship curriculum, where we cover all sorts of topics ranging from mental health, cultural appropriation, remembrance, independence, bereavement. And this is something we work on throughout the year, and it's a consistent feature of your child's time in school. So every Monday they have PD. In year 8, we now have EPD for internet PD. So this is now going to be done on our Chromebook. So we ask that year 8 students bring their Chromebooks to school on a Monday for extended PD and a Thursday for Bedrock. So just recapping our behaviour framework, which is Positive Action for Learning, or PALS system. So I'm sure you may know we have PALS 1, 2 and 3. So a PAL 1 is where you're given a warning in a lesson. A PAL 2 is where you are moved seats in a lesson, but you remain in that class. PAL 3 is where you are removed from the lesson because it's not appropriate for students to be kept in there for whatever reason. We have high expectations of behaviour at Roding Valley, and we encourage mutual respect and tolerance between teachers and students. We also feel very passionately about restorative justice. So we do ask that students go back and see their teacher that they have received the PAL 3 from, to talk it out, to squash it, and ensure that their relationship is back on track for the next time that they are taught by that teacher. A few things I would like to say about social media. We did have quite a number of issues last year revolving around social media in all different forms and contexts. It's very difficult for us in school because we don't control what children access outside of school. The law actually says that social media platforms are only for children and young people over the age of 13. So in year 8, most students will turn 13, so they are allowed access to these different social media platforms. But we do ask that common sense applies. Most social media apps are not suitable for young people for a whole variety of reasons. This brings me on to WhatsApp groups. So WhatsApp, you're actually not allowed to have it unless you're over the age of 16, but we do know that most students do have access to it. If children are going to be in WhatsApp groups, we do ask that these are small groups, so with their close friends or sports teammates or drama club friends or friends they do some type of activity with. We've had instances where we've had groups of 50 to 100 children in them, and it is impossible to trace who is saying what in a group of that size when you have so many messages being sent. So we do ask, if students are going to be in WhatsApp groups, that they are small groups. Snapchat, similar principle applies. We ask, if students are going to use Snapchat, that they turn off their location, so they have it in ghost mode. It's also really essential that students understand that once they take that Snapchat, that is there forever somewhere. Even if it disappears on their phone or their friend's phone, it is there forever on the algorithm of the internet, and it can also be screenshotted. So social media and the wider cyberspace, as a parent, we just ask you to proceed with caution. Please check if your child's accounts are private. We highly recommend that all students have private accounts. If you can be their friend on whatever social media platform it is, or be connected with them in some way to watch what they are posting and what they are interacting with, that would be fantastic. Are they using social media in a room where you can see what they're doing on a desktop or a laptop? Unfortunately, we understand that most students have it on their mobile phone, but we do really encourage regular checking of what students are accessing. Moving on to attendance. So we strive for 100% attendance, as all schools do, but the number that we aim for here realistically is 96%. So if your child has got 96% attendance, they will achieve on average 1 grade above their target grade. And 96% attendance is equivalent to 8 days off of school, 8 days hours of lost learning. 90% attendance, this is where it becomes an issue for us. And if you stoop below 90% attendance, you're known as a persistent absentee. This is where Ms. Parsley and our attendance team will be in contact with you to understand and support your child's attendance going back up. So 90% attendance, students will achieve on average 1 grade below their target grade. So we really, really strive for as much attendance as possible, 100% ideally, but 96% as a minimum. So good attendance means that you are always here, you are learning, you are socializing with your friends, you're in the place you're supposed to be. So there are 175 non-school days in a year. The rest of the time we're at school. So the time when we're not at school, that's the time to have appointments and for holidays, family breaks, celebrations, etc. The rest of those days, we ask that you are here where you should be. So before and after school, just a few notes on this one. We know we've got a great location. We're situated next to Loughton Station. But we do ask on your way to school and when going home from school that you are behaving appropriately. You're in our uniform, you're representing our school, our community, our team, and we'd like you to behave in that way, to respect members of the public, to be kind to people, to open doors for people, to say please and thank you, okay? And when the day is done, please go home. Don't hang around by Loughton Station or out on the road or by Sainsbury's. Please just take yourself home. So some potential concerns for year 8. I know year 8 there can be a little bit of a danger of it being a bit of a dip year or a nothing year, as people like to call it. In my assembly last week, I spoke to year 8 about how it isn't the nothing year, it's actually the everything year, because they have done their transition into RVHS. They are the first settled secondary school year after the year 7s, and it's their job to be role models to those year 7s. So obviously year 8, there's not a particular thing that is happening in comparison to year 7, year 9 and year 10, but it's not a nothing year. It's a time to get to know new subjects, new teachers, make new friends, do further enrichment activities, and to really make the most of everything that our school has to offer. Again, well-being, this is really obvious. Please make sure you're getting enough sleep. We've had lots of students saying how tired they are. We understand that after the summer break, but please go to bed at a reasonable time. Please don't have your phone on you. Screen time an hour before bed is not advised. You need time for your brain to switch off and to settle down. Please make sure you're eating a healthy diet, drinking enough water, bringing a refillable water bottle to school, regular exercise, and there's always people around school to support with well-being, okay? We've got a well-being hub, we've got members of the head of year team, form tutors, the zone. There's lots and lots going on for students to access. So in terms of who parents should contact, I'd like to make it clear that if it is a subject problem with a curriculum subject, for example, science or French, please contact that teacher in the first instance, okay? So the subject teacher or the head of faculty. If it's a general inquiry about school life, please contact your son or daughter's form tutor, okay? I list my team of form tutors in my bulletin most times. And your child hopefully will know who their form tutor is. We've got a few new ones on our team this year, but the majority of them have stayed the same. Progress issues, please email either Miss Larkin or Mr. Vermack, who are our deputy head teachers for teaching and learning. You can also email myself about progress issues. Attendance concerns is Miss Parsley. SEN concerns is Mr. Taylor. And then pretty much anything else is me or whoever you feel comfortable with at school. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to working with your children throughout the forthcoming academic year.